So this is a little late coming, but I unfortunately was stuck in a hurricane for a short time, so mail got kind of wonky. Anyway, so I finally got my copy of Kill Team Into the Dark, and I have finally cracked it open. There's a lot of plastic in here, a lot of plastic. So the first thing in mind was the Kroot Kill Team. I don't know a whole lot about the Kroot, but they got doggos, so it can't be that bad, right? Anyway, so the Kroot are the first kill team in the box for me, and I actually, even though I don't know much about them, I'm kind of excited. I like the way they look, so that is, that's a good thing. The Navy, Imperial Naval Breachers, boy, that's a mouthful to say. They come with a lot of heads. So there's definitely more heads than you need here, which is good. That's actually kind of a good thing. It gives me some stuff to use for kit bashing. And I really like the shield. The shield guy is kind of neat. Now, on to the big plastic. Now you get 2 sprues of the scatter terrain and the objectives, and there's also the broken pipes and the overhead pipes as well. So you get 2 sprues of those. Those are fairly easy to put together. There's a couple of nuances here and there you got to fiddle with, but it's nothing too bad. And then begins the endless sprues of terrain. Now this is not necessarily a bad thing. The terrain looks really cool. I have seen a lot of the videos so far of people that have had to tweak their terrain a little bit to make it fit a little bit better and make it come apart a little bit better. There's a lot of plastic in here. This stuff is it's crazy. Now this is the other sprue for the Imperial Naval Breachers. It has the Geist skull and all that. You get also a set of barriers and measuring tools, which is great because that means I can field 2 tables worth of kill teams now, which is a good thing because where I'm at, we skirmish on Tuesdays. And then the final sprue, there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of doors, a lot of things, and you get your divider here that has some really cool art on it, and of course, the core book. Now, I don't necessarily need a second core book because a lot of the guys that I play with already have one. But I mean, it can't hurt to have one laying around. You get your instructions, you get your bases, of course. It comes with a ton of bases, and you get your cards, which is another good thing for me. That means and dice. All right, so I can well and truly field 4 players now. The board is, of course, a little bit smaller than what you're used to because of the fact that they've kind of changed the format of it, which is fine. And now I have an empty coffin box. So, onto the instructions. You get enough stuff here to build all of the Kroot, and you get enough stuff here to build all of the Naval Breachers. You only have to do a little bit of fiddling and moving around of weapons. Now, I am not sure. I'm not sure how I'm going to build these guys yet, because usually I do a little bit of theory crafting. But as you can see, as always, you have 2 options. You can either build the specialist or you can build the regular guy. And obviously, the best thing for you to do is to build the specialist. And as you can see, you have a lot of options with these guys. The Navy Breachers have a lot of different, especially for their leader, they have a lot of different weapons, a lot of different guns and melee weapons that you can swap around. So you want to plan that out. Plasma is king, I can tell you that for certain. Now, here, most definitely, as I said, building the specialist here. I will always build a specialist over a non-specialist, even if I have to kind of cannibalize one of the regular bodies to do it. So on the naval guys, all of you have enough, and all of them have a specialist that you can build, and that's definitely the way forward. So that's easy enough. It's the same thing for the Kroot, except for the Kroot also have an extra body as well that you can use to you can build an additional gunner if you want. I actually probably will not build that second gunner. I'll probably just build a warrior. Your leader, of course, comes with two options. Definitely going to choose the rifle of the two. That's kind of a hands down for me. I'm definitely going to choose the rifle. And once again, you got your sharpshooter. You have all your options here. There's your there's your different specialists. There's your bowman and the melee specialists as well. So if given the option, the specialists are always the best way. So as you can see here, there are more than enough bodies to build everything, including if you wanted to build that extra gunner, you could take that extra Kroot warrior and turn that extra Kroot warrior into a gunner. Now, keep in mind, you can't field both gunners. So if you do that, I don't remember how the Kroot team builds out, but I'm fairly certain that you have just enough bodies, I believe, to field everything, including a Kroot, just a regular Kroot warrior, but I'll have to double check that. And so moving on to the terrain, one thing you want to keep in mind, obviously, it says, as it says there, don't glue the doors in, because the doors are actually meant to open. It's part of the new kind of system. The doors actually don't, unless it's closed, it doesn't actually count as cover. So you can't really hide behind the doors. Now, the instructions include everything you need to build all of the, and I hesitate to say modular. I mean, it is definitely modular, because the different parts and pieces there, they all kind of fit together. Now, those little side pieces, the little panels, I probably will not use those, just for simplicity's sake. It's much easier to paint this stuff if you don't have a bunch of extra pieces attached to it. Now, the crates as well are meant to stack on top of each other. I do have a Sector Munitorum box, which has a very similar series of one stack crates. So I might just go ahead and stack those. As you can see, and as everyone else in the community has pointed out, don't glue down the caps, the individual pipes, the objectives, the walls, all of that stuff kind of, slaps together. So a little bit of snipping aside, obviously I'm not going to sit here and have you watch me snip a million different pieces, but my set so far has worked pretty well. The caps come off fairly easily. The walls go together fairly easily. They are kind of tight, so I probably will end up sanding down at least the wall plugs. But the caps, the top caps, seem to go fairly well. Now, as you can see, there are certain doors to go with certain areas, and you kind of want to do what I did not do, and I snipped everything off thinking all of the doors were all, or at least all of the little pieces were the same, but all little door pieces are not the same, and I'll point that out here in just a second. So this is what everything looks like once you piece it all together. And as you can see with mine, that the walls on mine are pretty tight. Now, you do want them to be a little bit tight, because obviously you want this stuff to stay together on the table. But as you can see here, I kind of really had to yang on this stuff to get it apart. And that's not something that you want to have to do, is, pull and twist and mess with individual plastic pieces like that could break. So that is definitely something I'm going to have to work on. There's a obviously the mold injection points for the plastic. I'll have to shave those down a little bit as well. But as you can see, the stuff is really tight. A little sanding will fix that without too much of a fuss, honestly. So that's at least the preliminary look at my stuff as it goes together. This stuff is really neat. It's really cool. It's really modular. And it does really kind of have a Space Hulkish kind of a feel to it. And I really like that. And I'm hoping that at some point I will have enough of this stuff between Shadow Vaults and the other box sets to actually put together a 3D Space Hulk. That would be kind of neat. Now, as you can see also, the end caps are pretty tight and everything stays together very nicely. Now, after a lot of snipping, and I mean a lot of snipping, my goodness, I finally have all of the parts and pieces all, scattered out across my desk. So the painting process is going to be massive. Now, this is where I started fiddling with the doors, and as you can see, there is a small divot in there. Each of the door pieces, and I wish I had followed the instructions and snipped which ones go to which instead of having to kind of guess, because some of my fits are kind of tight. Anyway, I did go ahead and put a couple of them together for the camera, just because I wanted to, show that, hey, there is a little bit of a difference in these things, and you don't have to put a whole ton of super glue down. Even if it does snap, you just glue it again and it'll be fine. Now, once you put this thing down, be careful where you put your glue, obviously, but once you put it down, let it sit. Don't fiddle with it. I unfortunately am very fiddly sometimes, so I ended up messing around with it and breaking it. So I did use some rubber bands here, as you can see, to put everything together and kind of get it tight there, because those pipes did not want to stay. The snippety snip process is pretty fun. Lots and lots of snipping. Tons of snipping. More snipping than I've ever snipped in a snip. So, obviously, I have gone a little nuts from all the snippety snipping you have to do here. My hands were actually very sore by the time I got done cutting all this stuff off the sprue. And as you can see here, this is the haul, the final haul, the pile of crazy that comes in this box. It is massive. Wow. I'm not necessarily looking forward to the painting process, to tell you the truth. But, Well, that's it for that crazy pile of plastic. There is a lot to this particular box of Kill Team. It's a little overwhelming. I'm gonna have to figure out how to paint all of this properly. I'm probably gonna end up treating it kind of like my Octarius terrain, where I started off black and just left the black primer as the base coat and just enhanced it from there. I think that's the way I'm gonna go, to tell you the truth. But I keep glancing at the pile over here because that is a lot of plastic. I don't know how much gray I'm going to be able to slay in what amount of time here before Shadow Vaults come out. But anyway, that's what it looks like so far. Anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you want notifications when the next video comes out, make sure you hit the bell button as well. Like I said, thank you. I appreciate everyone that watches.